What's up, guys? Welcome back to the show. Today we're doing a Q&A. So this is the first Q&A I'm going to do, so super excited for it. Thank you everyone for the questions. Shout out to Archie, Vers Archie on Instagram, and I think just Archie something else on YouTube, asking a bunch of questions. Shout out to him. More of you guys should be like Archie, asking me more questions, so we appreciate it. But anyway, we will get started. So, question number 1 from Alexander's91. Do you think I can still progress to your surf level beginning at age 35 as an intermediate? Thanks. So he said, so if you're beginning at age 35, or if you're an intermediate at age 35, I'll do both. So if you're beginning at age 35, I mean, anyone can progress to my level. I've essentially done it in 2 years of consistent surfing, but like 4 to 5 years of like a weekend warrior type thing. But essentially all my progress has come in the last 2 years. And that's just a function of being able to do it consistently. So really how good you're gonna get is a function of how consistently you're gonna surf. So to be completely honest, if you're 35 and you're making it like a weekend warrior thing, then you're probably not gonna get very good at surfing. You're probably gonna stick around beginner level for a very, very long time. But if you want to make it a priority and you're able to put yourself by waves, get in the water every day, then yeah, man, I mean, anyone can improve. Particularly as I've gotten a bit better, we start to realize it helps being like young and athletic, no doubt about it. That can help you make up for a lot of inefficiencies. However, a lot of the really good surfers, they just make it look so easy out there, and that's because they're super efficient. So I wouldn't let age be the thing that really discourages you in any way. I mean, there are some dudes that absolutely rip that are like well into their 40s, 50s. So you definitely have more than enough time. Stay healthy, all that good stuff, and you'll be sweet. Also, it's like, you'd rather be surfing than not surfing. So whether you're going to get as good as me or as good as someone else, it's, who cares? But thank you for the question. Okay, and now Luca P. Tersi. Favorite CT surfer? So this may come as a surprise. I don't really follow the WSL or CT or any of these things too closely, to be honest. There are guys, honestly, my favorite surfers are all guys that I've met or surfed with, and you just get a good vibe surfing with them, and so those are the guys that I like. One kid I was surfing with in Indonesia, actually twice, both in the Mentawais and at Desert Point, is Keon Martin. I featured his surfing in a few of my videos. Just a really impressive surfer, just really impressive. And when you get to see these guys up close in person and you're surfing the same waves and you just see how easy they make it all look, it's really cool. So yeah, shout out Keon Martin. Also, this kid, he's older than me, Jacob Wilcox. He's from West Oz, and he's been doing a lot of cool stuff on YouTube, which I like. Bunch of fishing and camping sort of videos, which he did the Cape to Cape thing. And I've talked about it a lot, but yeah, West Oz has a very special place in my heart. So whenever I see West Oz guys on tour doing cool stuff, free surfing, I always support it and watch their stuff. So yeah, I guess we'll leave it at that. Okay, from Jack O'Connor 1. Favorite board brand, FCS or Futures Fins? So favorite board brand is Sharp Eye. I got my first Sharp Eye 2 years ago, and they're super expensive, but so worth it. I used to really not pay much attention to different board designs and board brands. I sort of always thought it's whatever. If you can surf well, you can surf well. Who cares? And that's still how I think like 90% of the time. However, like when I first hopped up on a sharp eye, that was just the craziest experience. Like I just felt this was in Indo, and I was surfing Bingen, which is also an awesome wave to start surfing a new board on. And as soon as my feet landed, it was just like a whole new gear was unlocked, just full force, so fast, so much control. Any little movement I did, the board just responded so well. So yeah, I really do enjoy riding sharp eyes. I don't have one here. I actually need to get a new board here. The board selection down here actually isn't that good. It's one of the things you sort of take for granted being in Indo, is Bali and Lombok have so much surf infrastructure that you can just walk into a board shop and have, top quality selection. But down here in Nicaragua, it's like everything's kind of secondhand. So I'm just sort of gonna be going like place to place, seeing if anyone's got a board to sell. And then FCS or futures fins. I'm a fan of the futures fins. I've ridden both. Most of the time I ride futures. For me, I think they feel a little sturdier. I have used to have the John Florence futures fins. And yeah, just hold really well and just feel very sturdy, trust it. I think a lot of the stuff with board apparel is having confidence in your board and your fins. So if it's something you surf a lot and you have confidence in it, then stick with it. But if it's not, then you're obviously going to be a little bit less trustworthy. It really is a very human relationship with you and your equipment. So definitely make sure to take care of your boards. If they got dings, repair them early. One thing I've liked doing is trying to take as much responsibility for that kind of stuff as I can. So repairing my own stuff, repairing my own boards when I get like small dings and things like that. It just feels good to sort of have that connection with your tools. So yeah. And then the rest of the questions are a slew of questions from Archie. He went off on the YouTube post. So yeah, Archie gets subscriber of the year for this. More of you guys should be asking these good questions. Okay, what was it about banking world that you didn't want to be a part of? Great question. So I had a very interesting time in the banking world. I worked for a bank that went bankrupt. It was like the second largest bank to go bankrupt besides the Lehman Brothers in the history of the US. It was Silicon Valley Bank, by the way. So I was working at that bank in New York for 2.5 years, and it was a combination of a few things that sort of pushed me into the surf world and sort of pushed me to go chase waves. First thing was just on the monetary front. I had saved up a good amount of money, and it was one of those things where I was looking at it okay, I could just continue to accumulate money and then be super rich by the time I'm 50 and not really have lived a very adventurous life, or I can just take the money I have now, use that to go chase waves, and then sort of figure out the rest of my life path. And I think that makes for a more interesting and adventurous life. But I definitely did have that security of enough money in the bank to set out and go do it. So there was that part, is I had enough time there to accumulate some wealth. And then the other part about it was, I just didn't really feel like I was living myself and growing as a person. When you get into a corporate setting, sometimes there's a culture that everyone has to be a part of. And if you deviate from that culture, whether it's your personality or things you want to work on at work even, there's this sort of frowned upon aspect to individualism, I would say. In the corporate environment, it's very much organized where everyone should fall in place, say the right things, do the right things. And I'm sort of just a more, idiosyncratic, goofy kind of guy that likes to do different things every day, challenge myself, and sort of likes to march to the beat of my own drum in a sense. So that's why this YouTube stuff, and honestly it goes with the surf like ethos of, you know, carving your own path and finding cool waves, going to cool places, meeting new people. If you're open to new experiences, I think, and that's something that fuels you in life, then I think what I did is just 100% the way to go. And I think a lot of people will stick at the bank or stick at with the security because it's just more comfortable in a way. But as things become more comfortable, there also is like a less incentive for, I guess, you to grow as a person in a way. So that was that. And so when the bank, anyway, getting back to it, when the bank collapsed, that was sort of my sign from God in a way of like, okay, if you don't make this jump now, then you're never going to do it, because has there ever been a clearer sign? And yeah, bought the one-way ticket and never looked back. So thankful. Favorite book and why? Another great question. One thing that you will discover on your surf journey is there's a lot of downtime and there's a lot of places without power and without Wi-Fi. So you're forced to really dig into the books and, you know, chill under a palm tree and read a book all day, which is super cool. So my number one book is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. So many powerful things in this book. At some point I will publish a list of like my favorite books, but we'll start with just there. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. He was a survivor of the Holocaust, and so he was in different prisoner of war camps and essentially survived the working conditions, the torture, everything. And he talks about what he observed in those situations, and he hints at the meaning of life and how once we can assign meaning to any sort of suffering, it ceases to become suffering and it takes on its own life, a life of its own. And yeah, I thought, and maybe this ties into the last question too, with why I made that shift from banking, is what I really was searching for was a sense of meaning. And with the surf life, obviously it gets portrayed as paradise and whatnot, but obviously there are like cruddy days where you feel really lonely, you're not catching any waves or whatever it is. And I think as long as at the end of the day I could look at my surfboard and sort of assign whatever suffering I was going through at the moment to something like surfing, so something outside myself, then yeah, it took on it's a different feeling, right? As opposed to, you know, you're down in the dumps and whatever you're working towards in life you don't really care about. So like you only care about making a good loan to a company, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, if, you know, I had all these cuts on my feet and getting infected and I'm feeling sick and I'm lonely in some tropical island and away from family and all this stuff, and you're like going through it, if you can at least assign that suffering to something like surfing, then at the end of the day, like you're pretty stoked on it and it allows you to power through. Good question. Worst surf injury. So I've been super lucky. I haven't gotten any broken bones, just like really some deep scrapes on the reefs in Indo, maybe an undiagnosed concussion here and there. But other than that, nothing too bad. Something that happened in Sumatra. I was in West Sumatra on a pretty sketchy reef, and it was low tide. I was like charging pretty hard, and I starfished on the reef like this. That's how you're supposed to wipe out. You want to starfish, get the most amount of surface area as you can on the water, so you kind of skip. Because when you're surfing on dry reef, if you pencil dive, then you'll break your legs or your head or whatever. So you want to go like this, and that's what I did. And there's a little bit of a scar, I don't know if you can see it right there, but I essentially got scraped from like here all the way through, and there's just blood dripping down my entire body. And it was one of those too that looked way tougher than it actually was. Like it definitely hurt and I was in pain for a good bit and still have the scar, but man, it looked like something out of a movie. Like there was just blood down my entire body. I came back to shore the people I was with were like, "Oh my god, like what?" Like they were freaking out, but I was fine. Yeah, that few sketchy situations for sure have definitely, particularly like West Oz, man. That ocean is so powerful. So yeah, but all those experiences, they make you a better surfer, make you more mentally resilient, make you stronger, braver, all that stuff. The key after an experience like that is you got to get back in the water, as quickly as you can, because then that fear will build in your mind, and that fear of that past experience will just build, and that's not good. Celestial Namikaze 413. How many maneuvers can you do? Variations of those maneuvers, question mark. I would say right now I can pretty much just do like regular turns. You can split them into different kind of like cutbacks, like roundhouse, top turns. I don't know, I can turn pretty well. That's what I'm working on. Sometimes it's more of an S, a zigzaggy on the shoulder. Sometimes it snaps up and down. Those are obviously the more fun ones when you can get a little bit more vertical on like a more performance wave. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I wouldn't say I really am trying to even like name or categorize any maneuvers. Just whatever feels right, that's what I'm gonna do. And yeah. All right, last one from Archie here. We're gonna end it on this one. Best surf experience. Great question. So many really, really cool experiences. Yeah, wow, so many good ones, man. I've been super lucky. Best surf experience. Okay, yeah. So there's this wave, Way Jambu, in Sumatra, and it's called Sumatran Pipeline. That's like the nickname of the wave. And it was my first time charging like a really heavy wave like that. And I was with these 6 other kids that I met there. They were staying at my accommodation, and we were the only guys out. And that's like the perfect number of guys to have out in like a really intense lineup or an intense wave like that, because you want other guys there for your support, and you want to see other guys sending it really hard, because that'll essentially inspire you to go do it. So there were these Australian kids, a few guys from Tasmania, I think, and they were just like really charging. And so I felt it was one of those times where I just got sucked into that group and sucked into that energy, and it really pulled like a new person out of me. There are a handful of surfs you'll have where you just fully break some mental walls and like break some barriers, and that's really what it's like. You get pulled into like a new dimension almost, and that's what it felt like. It was my first time getting a stand-up barrel, and one of my first like really solid barrels where I just dropped in and the whole wave just, and it was like you could just the feeling that energy. I still have goosebumps right here remembering it. Yeah, it's really crazy. Okay, that was probably a really bad story. That's the issue with explaining surf stories, is you kind of had to be there. But anyway, yeah, it was at that wave, Way Jambu. Super heavy wave, super critical, and yeah, I surfed it really well. So, and everyone around me was surfing it really well. We were all stoked out of our minds. Anyway, that wraps up the Q&A. Thank you to the listeners. Make sure you guys like and subscribe if you watch the show. Just hitting that subscribe button helps me out a ton. So please, like button, subscription button, and I will see you next time.